make sure you explore every opportunity. I'm so glad I did. And acquiring something is so much easier than starting from zero. You hear a lot of amazing shops. There's so
Yeah.
many great shops, so many great owners. So I'm not going to say I'm, super special or anything. We're just trying our best to do our best and give the best so we can continue to be the best.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of the Lift Your Shop podcast. I'm Kelsey Altram with Lift Auto Repair Marketing, and today we have an amazing guest. We have Brandon Stapley out of the Phoenix, Arizona area. So, Brandon, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So, again, we're going to get into some very interesting topics, I think very prevalent for maybe an owner that's a little bit more seasoned in a sense, but still at the same time, like for new ones that are looking for acquisitions and things that kind of how we're going to chat about this. So Brandon has three businesses that you do own now, but before we kind of get into that side of things, Brandon, how did you get started in this industry? What's your story a little bit?
Um, growing up, I loved cars. I was the kid that took all the things apart and put them back together. My dad had all the tools. I was that kid. Built wagons and go-karts and go-peds, and I did all that stuff.
Mhm.
I did my first engine swap when I was 15, in a 78 Suburban.
Nice.
I learned a lot of what I know on my, you could say, my high school truck, which my grandpa actually gave to me, just a half-ton Silverado.
Hmm.
93. He bought brand new. I still own that truck, and yeah, I'm keeping that forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, anyway, that's really where I started, in the garage at home, and I grew that into, working on my dad's company vehicles, and then working on neighbors' vehicles, and then ultimately continued that way. And it was something I was good at. So eventually I got my dealer's license and started doing cars as well, because I
Mm.
just love cars. I'm the car guy. Don't
Yep.
ask me about sports. I'm not the sports guy. Um, yeah, I don't. Anyway, um, and there's no specific car, right? I love them all.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Hyundais and Kias, but no offense to anyone that owns one.
Oh my goodness, I have a kid in my garage.
I like Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge because they keep us busy.
Oh,
They keep us busy. Um, pays the bills.
yeah.
So sorry if you own a 3.6 liter, but they need stuff. Um, yeah, so starting in the garage, I had at most 22 cars as the dealer, in addition to working on cars. And I hit it hard for a couple of years by myself, doing both those things, juggling it. And that's why I called my first business Stapley's Garage
Hmm.
and not Stapley Automotive, because it kind of encompassed both car sales and repair.
Hmm.
And I actually, come 2018, 2017, I hired my first employee because I got busy. One of my biggest um, accounts or customers was a construction company, and I operated out of their little yard that they had and out of their shop. It was basically a three-bay shop.
Mm.
I had a two-post in there and a four-post that I worked out of. Half of it was open.
Yeah.
Eventually got the tire machines, and I got more stuff. And we got busy enough to where I could, I just, like, we had so much work. Um, I had, I had plenty of room in this construction yard. At some point, the home builder, who was my biggest customer, said to me one day, they're like, "Hey, we're going to tear this down and we're going to build condos here." That's what they want to do. We're building condos. I'm like, okay, well, if I have a year, I'm going to start looking now. So I started looking. I couldn't find anywhere to rent anywhere. Nothing existed. I'm like, I'm not building something.
Hmm.
It's too expensive and I'm not quite there yet. So my friend who owns dry cleaners, he said to me, he's like, why don't you buy an existing business that's already going? I'm like, that's a good idea. So I found Rad Auto Repair in Mesa, and I inquired on it, and they're like, no, no, we don't want to wait for financing. And then I, in a roundabout way, got a hold of, even though I signed that paper, it says I'm not supposed to. I got a hold of them and said, look, I'm gonna pay cash. I don't think your broker wants to split with my broker. I
Mm,
think that's the problem here,
yeah.
unfortunately. So anyway, I ended up with it. I got Rad Auto Repair, moved in, added my guy to the 4-man crew that was already there, had the system already going, had all the tools, added my stuff to it, added my employee. It took me a year to figure out I couldn't afford 5 guys. And then, my first year was a little rough, but turned that around, got rid of one guy, unfortunately,
Mhm.
still friends.
Yeah.
And turned basically, I got to a point where I hired ATI, Automotive Training Institute,
Mhm.
and it's a turning point. Now, I hired them right before COVID. And that was, I think COVID was rough for most shops because cars were not moving for
Mhm.
a month during shutdown. But since that ATI, I've slowly, working my way up, working on myself, figuring out how to do it. And essentially that led me to one of my suppliers one day, my Mighty auto parts girl. She
Mhm.
said, it's like, hey, there's a shop for sale and they're wanting to sell it. I'm like, okay, well, tell me more about it. Turns out it was a lube shop, another shop in Mesa, about 12 minutes from my current shop. A lube shop. All they did was oil changes. They didn't do batteries. They don't do any other fluids, just oil.
Mm.
So I go look at it, check it out. I am the owner of Oil Buddy. That was a fantastic move. Um, that helped tremendously.
And why so? I know we're in the
Well,
middle of your story, but I do want to dive
yes.
into this piece. I think it's very interesting in terms of this type of acquisition because I've heard things from other owners where they're like, I would never like in terms of like doing such a thing. But I love
See,
obviously we got the chat a little bit before this, and so I would love to
so
like hear kind of your take on it and why it's been such an
right.
impactful decision.
All I knew was auto repair. I didn't
Mm,
know how amazing the lube business was. I had no idea. And all these shop owners, they don't know. They're
mhm,
like, oh, how do you make any money on the oil change? It's all about car count. It is, and that's why there's that there's these take fives and these Valvoline instant oil changes popping up everywhere. They are around here. As soon as I got into it in 21, they just start popping up everywhere. I'm kind of mad about that. Like, why, when I get into it, now they're popping up? So it's 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 just so easy. It is so easy. I've got a few suppliers, not 100 suppliers. I don't need the very good tech. If you're going to have a good shop, you have to have a good writer and you have to have a good tech. If you don't, you're not going to get to where you need to be. It's hard to find those people. Don't get me wrong. But in the lube business, really, you have a good manager. That's it. Good manager, good products. Make sure your people are trained. I wouldn't hire anyone just right off the street,
mhm,
you know. But those people are much easier to find than, say, a seasoned A tech.
mm,
So it it helped me so much so that my repair shop that I got in 18, end of 18, you know, through, it was a little hard my first year too, taking that one over.
mhm,
And then getting that one, which by the way, if you're gonna do something like that, you want to finance it.
mhm.
Sure, there's a little interest, but the amount of money you're gonna pay versus the amount of money you're gonna put down, maybe you don't have enough to put down. say the business is 500 grand, all you have to put down is 10, maybe 15%. You got 50 grand?
Mhm.
You got 50 grand? Certainly you can go get a second mortgage on your home and go take a chance and buy this business that will make you way more money than you're borrowing a little interest on.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of a little interest. Anyway, I'm not saying that's how I did that, but that's what I would, that's my recommendation. If you can
Mm.
do it, you should go check it out.
Yeah.
Don't leave any opportunity. What's the right word? Just make sure you explore every opportunity that comes your
Yeah.
way. I'm so glad I did. So that was the precursor. That gave me the cash flow and more cash that I needed to ultimately, some of the cash to get to my next shop, which came in 23. So July of 23, actually October of 22 is when I came across it.
Mm.
Another opportunity. I like to spend some time on biz buy sell. That's just what I do. I was
Yeah.
looking for lube shops to buy because I love that business. It's so
Yeah.
simple. So simple. There's not customers mad because they're not getting their car back in time. We literally get these cars done in seven, on average, 7 to 12 minutes.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all about it's quick. Let's do 35, 40, 50 cars a day, 60 cars a day. Awesome.
Mm.
Awesome. For a $82 average. I mean, it's a good profit. It is. You don't
Yeah.
have a crazy overhead. It's pretty good. Um, I know there's not quite as much, say, potential as maybe a repair shop.
Mm.
Like you need multiple stores to make really good money. Now, if you had a shop that's doing 1,300 oil changes a month, you're gonna make pretty good money. Now, a repair shop that's just killing it weekly, monthly is probably gonna make more. But it's so easy. Back to the ease, man. If I could just have a couple lube shops, I would.
Yeah.
I would. It's so much easier. I know I keep saying that, probably saying it too much.
No, one thing I wanted to dig in with that though is obviously every single car is not only like, oh, all I needed was an oil change and now I'm perfectly fine and good to go on the road. Like that is obviously not the case. They obviously like your team goes in there like you have way more wrong than it's an oil change that we need to fix. But now the referral becomes just straight to yourself. I'm assuming, or I guess, or what percentage and like how does that flow sort of work in terms of how you then kind of cater the business to kind of funnel your other one?
That is exactly how it works. So, Oil Buddy is obviously a different name. It's people know that I own both. You know, it's fine. It's
Mhm.
not a big deal. I have a great shop. It's got a good name, a good reputation. I don't care that people know that I own both.
Mhm.
But a lot of it for someone who doesn't know is an unbiased referral. Hey, I love Oil Buddy. You guys are the best. And we get that all the time. So when my guys see something underneath their vehicle, says, hey, you've got a major coolant leak. I give them these cards. It's little referral cards. I know exactly where they come from.
Mhm.
They're made special for that lube shop. So when it shows up at my repair shop, I know right where it came.
That's
And
awesome.
I can't tell you when we do 900 plus oil changes a month, if I can get 10 more cars, 20 more cars a month, like it's kind of the idea, right? And
Absolutely.
and we do. We get them.
Yeah,
My
and
guys over there, I've trained them to see this stuff. Hey, your tires are toasted. You need an alignment and some tires. Well, go over to Stapley's Garage. Those guys are awesome. They will take good care of you. Here's a $25 off your first repair. Why wouldn't they call us?
yeah,
And then our online presence, talking about, I'm here with the master at it, right? I mean, pair those together, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
So
I love the synergy that it kind of creates because in a sense you're not even working, you're not even spending marketing dollars. Like
yeah,
obviously, yes, I mean I'm sure like in the lube shop, I don't know myself. I'm sure you have some sort of marketing going on to get that in, if any. Again, I don't. We never chatted about it, but from that point in which they already spent dollars at one place and then funnels to the other, they like now it's like instead of spending money to get them there, they actually paid you money to then get them there. And so
right.
like I love the reversal that kind of takes place
Uh-huh.
there. And then obviously lifetime value increases exponentially now because now they're going to two different places of touch points. So
Right.
yeah, I think you definitely are on something as we discussed this, and another reason why I wanted to have you on in terms of, hey, maybe we can open our minds a little bit to a different type of opportunity than most. Because again, I know for a lot of owners, it's like auto repair and that's it. It's like, yes, we do oil changes, but like I don't know how often I want to do those, and so on and so. Like again, I meet with owners all the time, and I hear these reasons all the time. And so that's where I love this different perspective that's kind of being created here. And again, you're hitting so many car count in terms of and a real problem that's like in person. You see it. It's not like you're waiting to field through it through Google and they're typing in a word and like they don't know what's wrong with it, but now they're getting told by someone that like this is what's wrong with it, and then you can go fix it here. That I mean, that is cuts through a lot of noise and then gets the right person there typically. And if you don't want to
Yep.
refer them, if you're like, this will not be a customer that I even want referred to other shop, you don't have to because it's just like that's what you can kind of gauge, kind of a pre-qualification at the lube shop.
Yeah.
So I think
Some
it's really
days
interesting.
I have a friend that has a windshield company. They do a ton of windshields.
Mhm.
And some days I'm like, you know how many windshields I see between all three of my shops? Why don't I own one of those businesses too?
Mm.
I could totally send myself a lot of windshields. And we pass out I had him make a special little card and I send that business right to him.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another vertical that
Same thing.
kind of just keeps hopping
Yep.
and moving along. So I think that's very interesting. So yeah, I'm glad we dove into that. And now to obviously continue the story a little bit. Now we didn't get to dive in too much to the third shop. And so now obviously the first one, second one are kind of synergy working together. What even brought up like, yes, I want to get a third shop, or did it fall in your lap? What's kind of the story behind it?
Truly, I didn't want another repair shop because
Hmm.
they take so much more time and energy.
Yep.
If you obviously you get the right people, it's much easier to manage and operate, but I wasn't quite there. So in the last this year, really, I've really ramped up my original shop, Stapley's Garage, and it's doing so much better than it used to because I have the right people. Um, Desert Car Care is the one I saw one night on vacation in Flagstaff. Rented a Verbo, had my family there. I'm on my computer looking at it, or on my phone, something, and I just like, this seems amazing. This is like what I aspire my shop to be.
Mm.
So October of 22. It took me, it took a long time. I had to wait for the people who owned it then to get a tax return. They hadn't even had a tax return yet because they purchased it from the guy who originally owned it.
Mm.
And essentially they flipped it. Um, I think they did pretty well. Not to say that's why you buy one. I saw a great opportunity, great
Mm.
income, a solid reputation. Had this shop not had a solid reputation, I'm actually here right now in the parking lot of my truck.
Yep.
Had this shop not had a solid reputation, I would not have even considered it.
Mm.
But it was doing the numbers. Uh, Everything ATI taught me to look at, like, it was doing well here for the most part. I didn't have to do a whole lot. And acquiring something is so much easier than starting from zero. I did that and I did that for a long time, but then I put it into the other one, right?
Hmm.
So it being my third one, I don't know if you ever heard of the ERC program, Employee Retention Credit.
Oh yeah.
That that helped me a lot. That gave me a lot of cash
Mm,
from the other two shops, in addition to income that ultimately helped me buy Desert Car Care of Chandler. So it's kind of, you could say, some people may not like me saying this, but COVID helped me buy. COVID
mhm.
created the ERC program, which
Yep.
ultimately helped me buy this.
Yep.
Not saying that's all of that money, but that was a good chunk of it.
Mhm.
Um, there were people who offered more money than me. And I told the bank, I'm like, look, I'm comfortable here. I'm not the broker, back and forth trying to get more. I'm like, I feel good right here. This
Mhm.
is where I belong. I actually kind of had the same experience with my first one
Mhm.
when they were trying to sell it to those other people. And I said, no, I feel good. This feels right.
Mhm.
Ultimately, I ended up with it.
Mhm.
Same thing here. The bank said, Brandon Stapley is the guy. We know he's the guy. You're not getting another 150 from these other people.
Mhm.
Like that was it. That sealed the deal. So thankfully, there at the end they came back and said I needed another 5%, which was very difficult for me. But I
Mhm.
made it, and it's great. It's paying the bills. Since I've been able to buy a new house for my family, we outgrew the old one, and this shop does. It's not being a part of ATI. You hear a lot of amazing shops. There's so
Yeah.
many great shops,
Mhm.
so many great owners. So I'm not going to say I'm, super special or anything, but this shop it does about 2.5 million.
Mhm.
Um, we try to have our goal every week is over 50K,
Yep.
with my 7 guys here, 1 woman,
Mhm.
6 guys. And, yeah, we're just trying our best to do our best and give the best so we can continue to be the best, right?
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that's everyone's goal. Take care of our customer, take care of
Yep.
our employees. So,
That's
yeah,
amazing, and congratulations on doing so well and
thank you.
across the three businesses. I mean, how much total revenue are we probably looking
You
at?
know, Oil Buddy, I mean, I kind of gave some numbers earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
We do about 900 oil changes a month with an average of about $82. It's about 70-ish thousand a month
Mhm.
in revenue, um, just from oil.
Yeah. That,
People think that's
that's
nice,
yeah,
just
that's
from oil.
crazy to think
We
about like that. That's
we
strictly
do
just oil.
we do engine air filters and wiper blades, but that's it. Nothing
Yeah.
else. We don't even do batteries. Um, Stapley's Garage historically has been more of $1 million shop.
Mhm.
This year, actually 2 weeks ago when I was on vacation, my guys did 54,000 in a week.
Nice.
So they're literally catching up to Desert Car Care as far as revenues go. And I'm so excited about it because, like I said earlier, that is the shop I've aspired my old one to be.
Mhm.
So I'm stoked that I finally have the right guys, and they're all super stoked to come to work. They're all happy. They get along well. The culture's good. I'm adding 2 lifts right now, getting another AC machine. It's just it's working.
Yeah. Is
It's working.
there anything that you maybe learned from buying the third one and like maybe processes that were there that you're like, that's actually really good to apply back and kind of maybe something that's helped or
Yes.
okay.
Yes. It has, I think having, so I have 20 people.
Hmm.
I think having more people has changed the way my day to day is a little bit. So it's important to go to the shops and to
Hmm.
see everyone, ask them how they're doing. I know there's other owners that do the same thing, and I think it's wise to do so. Make sure everybody's good. Make sure everyone's good at home. I care. I do. Absolutely. I care. They care. It's kind of a circle.
Yeah.
Um, but here they were actually renting cars. I have a loaner car at the other shop. I don't hear working on getting loaner cars because I like loaner cars.
Hmm.
They get rentals for customers. So if need be, I do that at the other one, um, only for specific jobs. And then we do Lyft and Uber.
Mm.
That's something I wasn't doing at the other shop. I'm like,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why am I not doing that?
Yeah.
It's just another perk. It helps. I changed both shops to Tech Metric. I actually changed Desert Car Care first.
Hmm.
It was on Mitchell. Yeah, gotta get away from Mitchell. No offense, guys. If any Mitchell people are on, it's those guys at Techmetric have it down. It's pretty good. Not gonna lie. So I have both shops on that. That makes my life easier too. Say I'm out of town, I can see everything. It's so great. Um, there's some other processes, but you know, I mean, this shop is stacked 2 lifts deep, and I'm actually lining up like I said earlier, buying 2 lifts and stacking them too deep like that, just to maximize space at the other shop. Um, that shop is bigger than this one, but it's, I don't know, it's probably too blurry. But
Yeah, no, no, all good. No,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and that's is super super exciting. And again, I think that there's just aspects of acquisition that people just don't consider, other than just like you just see the big number. You're like, holy crap! Like how am I going to pull that off? But then like there's just so many other synergies that just can apply to other businesses that maybe you own, and it's a shortcut. It gives you a head start where you're not starting from nothing and like having to build it up. And yes, it's important to learn that process. Like so, I mean, but I think I'd rather learn where like the bottom line's guaranteeing profit already, like in day one, versus like, hey, no, like I still got to buy all this equipment, I got to buy all these things, and you go into debt, and then you have to still now
Yeah,
make up that difference over.
right,
It's a slow burn, and so yeah, I
right.
think it's a great opportunity there. So I'm curious now. So in terms of the acquisition portion, so say on average, you the day that you sign the NDA would be day zero in terms of when it starts. How long have the three businesses on average taken for it to then be to close?
So the first one, like I said, there was 2 brokers. The
Hmm.
seller had one and I had one. Um, that one, that one was actually pretty quick. I want to say it was a month.
Oh wow, okay, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, 45 days. Yeah, I think it was about 45 days. The second one, Oil Buddy. Oil Buddy was, we didn't have a broker. I didn't have a broker. I'd been through it, so I already kind of had a good idea, and I'd shopped around a little bit, but kind of based, purchase price on, say, net profit,
Hmm.
times it by 3 or whatever. And I think that business now is a lot more than that. So I truly, I gotta, if Randy's listening, dude, I got a killer deal on that thing. I got a good deal on it. So, um, yeah, that net profit, right? If you're working on exiting, don't expense a bunch of stuff. I know what it's, business owner, you expense stuff. Don't do it. If you're working on getting out, I know you're going to pay some taxes, but don't do it.
Yeah,
Prep
yeah, that's,
yourself. My dad is working on that with his landscaping company right now.
mm,
And I've been telling him, hey, you got to increase your prices, bring in more revenue, and maximize your net. You got to grow that net. Get all that extra stuff out of there.
yeah,
Anyone can see my ATI, payment and be like, okay, continuing education. Well, the next guy doesn't have to spend 20,000 a year
hmm,
like I did on ATI. Well, that's more income for you, but
yeah,
um, so the second one, yeah, Oil Buddy, he and I worked it out. He didn't want to sell me the name. I said, look, you're in New Mexico. You're never going to use the name here. I'm going to give you what you want with the name. If not, it's this much less. So he went for it, and I have the name, Oil Buddy. So I have the rights to use it in Arizona any way I'd
Mm.
like. I didn't want to go through rebranding. I did that. I changed Rad Auto Repair to Stapley's Garage, and it's not fun to do. It's expensive signage and just the whole internet presence, right? It's
Yep.
not easy. I don't recommend it. So Desert Car Care had such a great reputation from Frank Lutz, who owned it, that I'm like, why on earth would I go change it?
Mm.
Not doing it. It's great. It's great. So getting the name, they actually still own the name. So that was a little hurdle I had to overcome. They had to approve of me
Mm.
taking on the name because they
Yep.
actually still use the name in north of Phoenix. Um, Now that acquisition, very, very much larger than my first two.
Yeah.
Add my first two together and times it by quite a bit. Um, yeah, Desert Car Care is a different animal
Mm.
altogether, as far as revenues and net profits.
What
So,
what multiple were you typically looking at across was
um,
that I'm guessing I'm assuming that this latest one was bigger just based on kind of the establishment of it.
yeah,
That's the multiple, but like,
yeah,
what are we typically looking at just for the average person listening and they're like, I have no idea what these mean. Again,
I think a good multiple, uh, on the net profit on a good shop with a good reputation in a good area with great customers, like this is Desert Car Care is, um, easy 5, 6 times net profit.
hmm,
So, I mean, you do the math. I mean, you're showing a 500 net profit. Um, you could potentially sell that shop for
two and a half,
easy
three.
$2.73 million. You know, just the shop itself. No building,
Yeah, no
just
real
the
estate. Yep.
business, which is awesome. If there's any shops out there that, I mean, maybe you have no idea, but certainly there's some old owners that are maybe getting ready to exit. Well, if you don't own the building, that's okay. Maybe your revenues are good and your net profit is good. I hope you're not writing off everything if you're working on exiting. So, yeah, I paid a lot.
Yeah.
It's a big note, and interest rates are not good right now, but that's okay. I'll end up paying another 1.8 million for the shop at the end of my 10-year SBA 7A loan,
Mhm.
which is crazy to think, but it's a great income. It's a great income.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Then when you just
and
look at
at
the
the end,
bottom line, yeah, you make
yeah,
sure that debt service is covered. I mean,
right.
well, why not? Like,
And at the end of the 10 years, I'm gonna have this shop that's worth even more than what I paid,
yeah, no, exactly.
you know? And who knows, maybe by then I'll own the building too.
Yeah, that super cool. I'm curious, and I know you mentioned the first deal had a broker, second deal didn't. Did the third one have a broker? And
The
then,
third one had a broker.
okay, and
I
do you
felt,
recommend broker
yeah,
versus
I
non-broker?
felt comfortable enough to use their broker. Like
Oh, okay.
I didn't get my own.
Yep.
I, I'd been through it twice already.
Hmm.
So their broker seemed awesome, and I'm just like, okay, I'm cool with that. The SBA is part of it, so that makes me feel safer.
Yep.
Um, the SBA, they do an in-depth search. They check the values. They go over a lot of things. They cover debts to make sure, you're not left with any debt.
Hmm.
Their debt, right? So they come up with an evaluation of the business. It valued slightly higher than it was pretty close to what the sale price was,
Yeah.
even though those other people, were going to pay more.
Hmm.
It worked out.
Yeah. No, definitely. And did you use like debt service for all the deals, or did like I guess for this, I'll talk about the third one because I know that they have the bigger price tag. So with that comes a little bit more flexibility and different things that you can possibly do. And so,
Yeah.
did you strictly just use SBA for debt service? Did you get some seller financing involved? Like what kind of
I
got involved into it?
so the second one after I used a there was some more COVID stuff.
Yeah.
You could go get some loans and
Yep.
stuff,
Yep.
and that helped me buy Oil Buddy a little bit. Um, Stapley's Garage, Rad Auto Repair, the first one. Um, my father helped me a little bit on that one. Now that one wasn't a whole lot. I
Hmm.
bought Rad Auto Repair. I'll tell you, 185,000 wasn't that much.
Hmm.
I had a little bit of money, and my dad helped me with it. I got him all paid back. It took me a couple of years.
Yeah.
Um, certainly did. And that's why I say Oil Buddy. Once I got Oil Buddy, I would say for sure get if you can get an SBA loan, get it. It is. I mean, like I said before, the amount of interest you pay, it's really not that much. I mean, and it's goes. Everyone knows the interest goes against your income, right? I mean, it's
Yep.
it's an expense.
Mhm.
So
And again, just for everyone, this is not financial or legal advice that we are
no,
giving. This is just
no,
opinions that we're having. So always speak to an
sure.
attorney or
Anyone is welcome
CPA,
to
anything.
anyone is welcome to call me and ask me, how I did it. Or if they want to go in further, I'm happy to help anyone.
Mhm.
But yeah, I, I had with the inflation on again, COVID, inflation, my house appreciated tremendously,
Mhm.
doubled. It doubled. I went and got a HELOC, and
Nice.
that helped me buy, with addition to ERC funds and cash that I had from another job that I had, ultimately helped me buy Desert Carter.
Mhm.
So that was the 15% that I had to put down,
Yeah.
which was not, it's not a small amount of money. So, um, yeah, I made it.
Yeah, and it's doing well. So again,
It's good.
I think this is a great point for those that maybe are hesitant. I'm sure there are owners out there that are like, I think I'm ready, but like they're looking at Biz by Sarah, they're looking at these deals and see the price tag and like, there's no way I'm paying that, or anything like that. They just see that dollar value and think there's no way, that makes no sense. I could just build a new one and start it up and build it in
Wow.
no time. I did it once, but I think that's definitely improper thinking. I think you did it right, did a great thing in terms of just like you didn't ever limit yourself to like, oh, now
Yep.
that opportunity's way out of the park or whatnot. And you're always interested, always looking, and you just never know when that right
Right.
deal makes sense for you. And maybe yes, sometimes there'll be something that's a little bit more expensive than you were planning. But still, if you look at the bottom line, and if it's like, yeah, after all the expenses, after I add in the debt service, I'm at minimum, I'm going to make this much money. Like, what? Again, why not? At the
No
end of the
brainer.
day, like,
Yeah.
yes, like over each and every month, and more than likely,
Right.
you being an owner, you're like, I can make this maybe more efficient, a little bit better. I can help it grow, and like
Yeah.
just naturally. And so there's just things that just even affect the bottom
Right.
line even more.
And
So yeah.
you think about it. My goal is actually to have 10 loop shops. And that was my goal before Desert Car Care, and it still is.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on having another repair shop. Again, I came across the opportunity, and I thought, I'm not going to not look into this.
Hmm.
And after I got Oil Buddy, you know how many brokers I called? I went and looked at two different loop shops. They didn't work out, but um, I called so many brokers and said, "Hey, if you can find me a lube shop, I'm gonna buy it. I will buy it. You let so these, and I still do. I call and I'm always looking for these opportunities because you get the next one, it's going to make the one after that even easier
Easier.
because I've created more cash flow. So my thoughts with this was, yes, I want more lube shops, but the cash flow here at Desert Car Care is so great. Like I'm going to take that and build more oil buddies with
Mm,
that cash flow. And then ultimately, where does that put me come retirement?
yeah.
What could I sell 10 oil buddies for? What's that net? And what's that multiple?
Yeah. No, for sure. I think it's a
Probably a pretty good retirement for me.
yeah, a really powerful
So that's
just
the
a
plan.
legacy for your family as well. Like I mean, just
Yeah,
like what's being
it's the
handed
idea.
off. So I think that's super wise, super cool. Is there, I mean, in terms of, I don't want to dig too much into the loop side, but is there certain, like at a very high level, certain numbers that you're like, yeah, this, if the numbers at a high level look like this, you'd say pull the trigger, or it doesn't matter. Just if it's a loop shop that works, then you're good.
Well, it has to be drive through.
Mm,
It can't be a pull in and back out. It's got to be drive through.
okay.
Um, that's part of it being quick,
Yep.
right? We sometimes we have a line of 5 cars, right? Or no appointment, no appointments. Just drive through, quick loop. Um, as far as like a lube shop, I've had Strickland Brothers. I've I I've had Chevron come to me. I've had a bunch of these Valvoline instant oil change. They've come to me. They all want to buy it.
Mm,
Everyone wants to buy it, especially the big ones. Oil changers is another one. There's so many of them. These franchises.
yep.
I actually started looking into Costa Oil. I like Costa Oil because the only difference between my shop and theirs is they do batteries. That's it.
Yeah.
So they actually awarded me two franchises. And then I started reading their franchise disclosure document, which is 174 pages. I got to page 20 and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't. I won't be my own guy. I
Yeah.
have to be my own guy.
Hmm.
So I stopped going down that road. And shortly after is when I found Desert Car Care. And here I am.
Yeah.
But I still look. I still look. I cold call even some owners. I just talked to an owner that has one last week. And as I essentially told him, hey, I don't know if this is going to work with us, but my advice is look for the opportunity because if it's there and you can make it work, you should, especially for any repair shop owner. If there's a lube shop in your area and they're willing to sell, you should absolutely buy it. Like Kelsey was saying earlier, it's such a great, like I spend no money. I mean, the cards cost me, how much? They're
Sense.
so cheap. Train my
Yeah.
guys to send them to me, and they come. They come.
Yeah.
I even make special cards for the Valvoline down the street in another lube shop, and I go visit them and I take those guys pizza. Even though those aren't my lube shops,
Mhm.
they love it when I come down because I bring them food and I bring them more cards that have my name on them. So it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, Brandon, I'm grateful for all the wisdom that you shared today with us. I mean, acquisition by no shape or form are we saying it's easy. There's no way it is, but I think it's like a muscle, like anything, as you keep working out, as you keep practicing, it becomes easier. And you see there's a bunch of shortcuts advantages that you can be had when you do acquire things, even when it isn't another auto repair shop in this situation, when it's a loop, a similar vertical that then still can help funnel the beast in terms of what you're trying to create in of
Right.
itself. So thank you for sharing that with us today. It's kind of a parting gift for everyone. I usually always ask this, but what is say your one of your favorite more business related books or whatever it may be that you kind of recommend to owners that haven't read?
There's so many great books. Um, and since I've joined ATI, I've listened to so many business books, and I think they've helped me. But the one that's not necessarily focused on business, but I love, it changed me truly, was Jim Rohn. I think it's called The Power of Ambition.
Mm,
That book is fantastic. I listen to it once a year. I try to.
Oh,
It's a great book.
yeah.
If you haven't listened to it, you should.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think that's a great recommendation as well. So, for, again, I know you mentioned that people can potentially reach out to you if they want to maybe get maybe a little bit more nitty
Yeah.
gritty. And again, this is not legal or financial advice from Brandon, but obviously he wants to help you in your journey. What would be the best way to reach out to you and communicate?
Well, if they're serious, they can call Stapley's Garage, and then my guys can give them my number.
Yeah. Okay.
And they may not just give it easy, but they'll definitely write yours down, and I can call you.
Yeah.
I'd be so happy to do that.
Yeah. And if you are serious, you can reach out to myself as well. And like, I can vet them for you as well. And then I can
Sure.
share Brandon's information with you, for those that,
Yeah.
again, if you're serious about this and you want to learn more, then absolutely we want to
Yeah.
have that
Google
opportunity of
Stapley's
communication.
Garage. Call them.
Yeah,
I'll
perfect.
happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, again,
Skelton.
thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate everything that you shared with us. And for those that are still listening, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already liked or subscribed, please go ahead and do so. But I'm Kelsey Osham with Lift Auto Repair Marketing. We'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.
Thanks.